This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you!
Boring. Boring. Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. That's exactly what you're doing. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Greetings, one and all. Lembit Öpik here on Lembit Öpik Live on unprecedented TV. There's a clue in the background. I've been told I haven't been promoting the station enough. Terribly sorry, guys. So you're going to get a big dose of subliminal, not that subliminal advertising. That's a tricky word. So please do subscribe to Unprecedented TV. Oh, wrong side. It's over there. You'll find us all over the place. But go to Unprecedented TV on YouTube. Or you can follow me on X at Lembit Öpik. Please do that. The more of you follow us, the more we can do in terms of broadcasting for various reasons relating to algorithms. In addition to that, thank you. We've had a surge with some of our shows. Tim Scott Uncancelled has been a bit of a runaway success recently. And always, Claire Dyer is a big hit too. We've got a couple of new shows as well. We've got Marcus Papadopoulos. Now, that's a film star name, if ever I have heard it, who does In Good Faith. And also Marilyn Hawes has joined us with Heart and Soul. And that really accurately describes her. So we are exploding with new stories, new ideas, all still current affairs. We will be starting our arts and culture channel quite soon as well, because things are going pretty well. If you want to sponsor us or if you want to advertise on the station, please do get in touch. Very easy to do that. If you want to, in the simplest way, just go to my X account and direct message me. But there are other ways too. Anyway, enough of that advertising. I want to talk about a station which is not advertising, at least not in the United Kingdom, except advertising its poor reputation. That's the British Broadcasting Corporation, a once great pillar of the British and global community of broadcasting. Some would say it still is, but they all work for the BBC. Their problem is now that they're being sued for $10 billion, 10,000 million bucks, by the President of the United States of America. To the best of our knowledge, and we have researched this has never happened before. The BBC has never been prosecuted, or at least sued, by a sitting American president. We don't think any American president has tried it, actually, but we can't completely back that up. It takes too long to find out. Anyway, the problem the BBC has is that's a big hunk of money. Why? All because it put out a faked video. A spliced speech, which gave the impression that Donald Trump was inciting violence on Capitol Hill, when nothing could have been further from the truth. What happens next? What are the implications for the BBC? And is Donald Trump entitled to make this claim against them? Well, I can think of no one better than a soothsayer and a truth teller himself, and a broadcaster, a fellow broadcaster. It's Nick Buckley, MBE. Nick, good to see you. You're looking very smart.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying to raise my game.
Yeah, but you make me look scruffy. Look at the background. Don't look at me. Look at the background. What do you think of that, by the way? Be honest.
I think it's all right. I mean, you have to plug the station. I mean, sometimes we have to give up a little bit of beauty sometimes for commercial reality, and that's what you're trying to do. So, yeah, not a problem. So
I always thought I was the beauty, not the background. You kind of managed to insult me already. I hate your earpiece. It does look rather professional.
Well,
no, it's all right. I don't really hate it. I didn't want to make you feel guilty. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Keep the talent happy, they say in my ear. You're the talent. Tell us all once again about what does MBE mean, because it's a big deal.
It stands for Member of the British Empire, and people get it off the, well, I got mine off the Queen, and you get them off the monarch for different things, for doing things for the country. I got mine for 2 decades of charity work.
And I'm sure you earned it, actually. I feel really guilty now because I criticised your earpiece. And now as soon as mine sticks out, you'll be, yeah, you're meant to be a professional, Lembit. And also, it's actually more difficult to conceal things when you've got a light background. I prefer being in Dubai. There we go. Now, let's talk about a problem which the BBC has arguably brought on upon itself. There was that famous doctored video which the BBC broadcast of Donald Trump, where they took 2 parts of a speech which were well over half an hour apart. I think it's something like almost around 15 minutes apart, and they put them together and they made it look like Donald Trump was trying to incite hatred on Capitol Hill. Worse than that, it was then repeated again and again and again. And I don't know about you, Nick Buckley, but I'm hardly surprised that he's vowing to defend vowing to sue the BBC, and the BBC's vowing to defend itself in a $10 billion lawsuit. What's your view of this? What's your big picture opinion about this?
There's 2 things here. First of all, lots of people are upset that we have a foreigner suing the BBC, and I get that. But my answer to that really is the BBC is so big. To tackle the BBC, you would have to be someone like the President of the United States, because the BBC can basically do and say whatever they want, knowing they're untouchable. And they're untouchable for several reasons. The first reason is they have no commercial imperative to do anything. They get their money every year, regardless if they're good, average, crap, whatever. They get given their money, and they give themselves all pay rises. And that money is, I mean, it's going down every year now because we're not buying our TV licenses, but that's beside the point. If the BBC can lie about the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, if they can do that to him, what do you think they've been doing to us for decades and decades and decades? It just goes to prove that the BBC is not a news organization. They're a propaganda organization. I'm not sure how successful Trump's going to be with this court case, but it highlights the fact to all of us that no institution in the UK actually works anymore.
On the BBC, I worked there for 7 years. Their training is absolutely fantastic. When you go to the BBC, you get pretty much the best education in broadcasting in the world. In technical terms, they are just superb. The issue I had when I was there, Nick, is that there was quite clearly a bias. For example, the BBC, in my view, stupidly said that the debate about the climate emergency is settled, and therefore they didn't have to provide balance. It is settled. There is no climate emergency, but they're on the other side of the debate. Although that was crazy. Then we've got a huge amount of wokeness going on in there. That's a debate for a different time. And now this, where you've actually got Donald Trump misrepresented in what essentially amounted to fake news. Now, Donald Trump is saying it's going to cost the BBC something like $10 billion. Actually, there is the video. I don't think we're going to play the sound on it, but $10 billion to get out of it. Whether he's going to achieve that or not, I'm not sure. But on the one side, you had the panorama edit, which took 2 bits, which were something like 50 minutes apart, and the original clip, which made it quite clear he was not talking about violence on Capitol Hill. It's incredible. Even The Guardian, as you can see here, was putting this out, though it's interesting how long it took for that to actually transpire for anyone in the British media to notice this. I'm actually quite annoyed with myself because I watched the original speech and I didn't notice this had happened. The question for you, Nick, is why did the BBC think they would get away with it? Because they did for years, or for some other reason?
There could be several explanations to this. The first one is they did it on purpose because they're trying to damage the reputation of Trump. That's reason one. Then the next one could be pure incompetence, because the BBC don't hire on merit. The BBC hire on DEI. Are you the right colour? Are you the right sexuality? Are you the right gender? Are you this? Are you that? We've got a shortage here. We will give you the job. So they don't hire on merit anymore. And I'm sure they used to many decades ago. So it could be incompetence. It could be a good faith accident where we know we're doing this, but we don't realize how this is going to look to the outside world. There could be many different reasons why they did it. The reason itself, I don't think isn't important. What's important is the BBC needs to reflect and work out how they can improve. We've been saying this for decades, and they don't reflect, they don't improve. Why? Because there's no imperative for them to do it. This, picking on the American president, regardless of the court case, has ruined their reputation even more. It's become political. It's got 10 Downing Street involved. It's all sorts of things are involved now. People may lose their jobs over this. Maybe, you never know. But these things need to be done to shine a light on the failing institution and maybe get to the bottom of, was it done on purpose? Is there a cabal in the BBC who are anti-American? Is it all about attacking Trump? I don't know, but let's get to the bottom of this. But we just need to shine a light on it so we all can see what's going on.
Well, I do think that there is an anti-Trump mood. That's my opinion. There was a sneering, snide negativity during the most recent presidential election. That's what I felt, where they said, well, Trump's not going to win. Look at Kamala Harris. Look how well she's doing. And I remember this preposterous obsession by the BBC of some rogue poll days before the actual vote, which said Kamala Harris was ahead. It was quite obviously nonsense. And I said so. And it's on the record that I said so. But no, they had to carry on saying that Kamala Harris could win. And one of the journalists, one of the presenters used foul language, profane language I wouldn't countenance on my show to describe Donald Trump as something crazy, or at least somebody who had worked for the BBC. I can't remember if she was working for them at the time. And that's the problem, Nick. They couldn't separate their left-leaning anti-Trump policies and views from their duty to leave their prejudices at the door.
I don't think they've ever left their prejudices at the door. I think the reason why we look at the BBC now is because we can see it now, because of all the alternative media we can access. I think the BBC was probably created 100 years ago, whenever it was created to be state propaganda. And I think it's been propaganda for 100 years. We just never knew it was propaganda because the government had its own agenda. But it's only since we've had alternative media that we realize, and we think, the BBC is changing. I don't think it has changed. I think it's always been like this.
If you can get within 5 years of the date of the formation of the BBC, I'll buy you a pint. And if you can get to within 1 month of it, I'll buy you 10. Have a guess.
I'll say it was created in 1908.
Thank goodness you said that. It was October 1922, actually.
22, right?
Yeah. Gambling man, am I? I thought you'd go about 1930, to be honest with you, but there we go. It was 1922. I did have the exact 18th of October 1922.
Right.
So there we go. That could win you a tiebreaker one day. I actually think that the BBC was set up for more benign reasons than you do. I actually feel that the BBC had a genuinely sincere intent and narrative at the beginning. Maybe during World War II, it was part of the propaganda machine. That's understandable. But by and large, I've tended to trust it. But maybe, Nick, that's because I wanted to, because I was told in the Radio Times and on television and by politicians that you could trust the BBC. ITV was for the poor. The BBC was for the middle class and for the truth.
And because it had the word British in the title, and that's a psychological trick there, because of course if you're a patriotic person and something that's British in the title, of course you're going to be more inclined to like it, to want it, to support it, to believe it, because I'm patriotic. And just saying the word British Broadcasting Company used to put a smile on my face, because it's British. You know, we're not interested in advertisements, we're not interested in earning money. This is about facts, this is about public service. But that reputation went a long time ago.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you in just a minute. That is Nick Buckley MBE, very British actually, and we're talking about the British Broadcasting Corporation and the fact that Donald Trump has now decided to up his case against the BBC to $10 billion on the basis that the BBC misrepresented him and could have cost him the presidential election. I guess that's what the argument is. So we'll hear more about that probably in the months and years ahead. This will probably take years. In the meantime, the United Kingdom is blessed and the world is blessed with unprecedented TV, which has no such bias. Why? Because we share facts and we share our opinions, but we don't dress up our opinions as facts. So you'll know our views. You know, I don't believe that there's a climate emergency, for example, but the fact, that's my view. Therefore, I want to share with you one of the great shows we have here. It's Claire Dyer's Dire Consequences. It's a program that looks at local issues which have national and sometimes international consequences. Watch this. That's Dire Consequences, usually on a Tuesday and a Thursday, but we do vary the day sometimes just to see when you find it most convenient. The person who's most convenient for me is the stalwart of unprecedented TV, Nick Buckley MBE. It's only fair that I give you the chance to advertise your own podcast. Where can we find it and what's it about?
I'm on all the platforms, but mainly Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And the handle's all the same, Nick Buckley MBE, all one word. I put 2-3 videos out a day, some long format interviews, other short clips of me moaning about what's going on in the world. All fantastic, all entertaining.
And we're going to have to get them onto unprecedented TV. We'll talk about that offline. The story so far here, another broadcast of the BBC is now vowing to defend itself in a $10 billion Donald Trump lawsuit. The BBC has actually declared itself totally committed to standing up against this, but that's hardly surprising because if it didn't fight Donald Trump and just paid out $10 billion, that would pretty much sink it, wouldn't it, Nick?
Yeah, it'd be over, it'd be bankrupt. This is a win-win for Donald Trump, regardless of any court case, even if it never gets to court. Let's say this is just threats. It makes no difference. It's a win-win because the BBC and other news outlets around the world and other organizations around the world will now think twice before they cross Donald Trump, before they lie, before they use propaganda. They're now all saying to themselves, he's the president that sues and sues big. Do we want this problem? Do we need this issue in our lives? No, we don't. We better behave. So it's a win-win for Trump.
It does seem to me that in this headline particularly, the BBC has committed itself to an open-ended multi-million pound legal bill, which we're paying. And why are we paying it, Nick? Because they faked a video. There's no two ways about it. They faked a video. What you said before the break was it'll be interesting to see if some people lose their jobs, but they already have. The head of the BBC, Mr. Davey, has resigned, and somebody else resigned for slightly different reasons. It's already cost jobs at the BBC. And I'm wondering if this is now going to drag on for much of the presidency of Donald Trump. And as you say, it paralyzes the BBC because there's no way that even they would have the audacity to add insult to injury, knowing that any further defamation would circumstantially prove the previous one.
This reminds me a little bit of working in local government. When you work in local government, you're not that bothered about being sued. Why? Because our war chest is bigger than your war chest. You may only have a couple of thousand, you might have £1 million, but we've got hundreds of millions in the bank, and we've got a room full of solicitors, and we will just wear you down. And this will probably be the BBC's go-to playbook. We'll just carry on and we'll wear Trump down. We'll wear him down so much that he won't even be in office in 3 years from now, because he can't stand again. And that will be mainly the end of it all then. So they'll be playing for time, just like governments do. That's why no one ever sues the government. You can't beat them unless you're a multi-billionaire. And the BBC, will they learn from this? I think they will, because if they knew what was going to happen, they never would have done it in the first place, because they don't want the bad PR, because they've got government ministers on their shoulders now. But there will be people within the BBC who don't care, who will go, well, I'm going to doctor this report. I'm going to put this out. And then I'll claim ignorance. I'll say I thought it was true because I hate Trump, because I've been told for the last 10 years, Trump is Hitler. I've been told by everybody I know that Trump is a bad man. And if we could stop Hitler, we should have stopped Hitler. And I'm doing my bit now to stop the new Hitler. And Farage is also having the same problems because of the same thing. We need to stop the new Hitler. So people within the BBC will still be playing their games.
So dangerous, though. One of the points you make about Donald Trump is he attracts very strong criticism. One of the most ridiculous criticisms I saw recently was from this woman, Susie Wiles. She said Donald Trump has alcoholic's personality. I was chief of staff in a tell-all interview. I have to say, some chief of staff from the White House, Donald Trump doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and he doesn't take drugs. And there are reasons from his family history for that. I have to say, when she says stuff like that, I'm just appalled. I don't really know this person. I've no idea. But the Financial Times, which reported this, I think is really pushing against the reality here. Whatever you think about Donald Trump, he deserves respect for being drug-free, teetotal, and smoke-free and drug-free. And I just don't like the way that people feel able to say stuff like this.
If you can't attack somebody on their policies, they then attack him as a personality. And that's where this comes from. You can't attack Trump on what he's doing, because most people in America go, yep, I voted for that. That's fantastic. I like that. So you can't attack him on his policies because it gets you nowhere. So therefore, you have to find character flaws. You have to find something else. Trump's a complicated character. He says many things I go, oh, I don't like that. I'd never say that. But do you know what? As me and you talk about all the time, it's called freedom of speech, isn't it? Just because I don't agree with someone, just because I don't like the way you say it, just because I don't like what you've said, doesn't mean you shouldn't say it. It just means maybe I need to grow up a little bit and accept that not everyone is like me. And then something just popped to me about the BBC. So it's not just about Trump. Couple of months, about 3-4 months ago, I stuck up for Andy Burnham, who's the mayor of Greater Manchester, because on Twitter, the BBC printed a report about an interview with Andy Burnham, where Andy Burnham...
That's him on the left there.
Yeah, where Andy Burnham sat, I can't remember what he said now, but he said something, and we all went, we disagree. That's awful. I don't like that. And he was attacked online for this quote by Andy Burnham. And Andy Burnham replied going, I did not say that, and I've just complained to the BBC. Within a couple of hours, the BBC retracted it and said, Andy Burnham did not say that. Our reporter said that, not Andy Burnham. So the BBC, yes, their reporter said that, not Andy Burnham. So I was sticking up for Andy Burnham going, we need to get this out because Andy Burnham, I can criticize Andy Burnham all day, but I want to criticize him on what he does and what he says, not what people are making up about him. But that's how bad the BBC has become.
It's crazy. I actually quite like Andy Burnham. I don't want to lose your friendship. I've always got on with him pretty well. He seems like a decent guy. He's orders of magnitude better than Keir Starmer, I think. But he's got his own agenda. So you're going to say you got the right to reply here on Unprecedented TV?
No, I mean it wasn't. This wasn't about Andy Burnham. It was just saying that Andy Burnham's on the left. Most people at the BBC would love Andy Burnham. You know, he's on all the BBC news outlets all the time. They love Andy Burnham, but they can make a stupid mistake like that on someone they love. That's the incompetence at the organisation.
And the difficulty they've now got is that even the BBC, which cuddles up to Labour, some say, is under threat from Labour. Government considers advertising a subscription model for BBC. Now, there's no points for guessing why. It's because Nigel Farage, tipped to be the next Prime Minister of Britain, says he's going to scrap the TV licence. He actually said that to me earlier on this year. I asked him, are you serious? He said, of course I am, Lembit. And it's because he has been, in his view, maligned so badly by the BBC. Now, as soon as the government starts saying that, there's going to be an even bigger drop-off of people paying their TV licenses, isn't it? I'm not advocating that, by the way. I don't know even what the law is on that anymore.
I advocate all the time, stop paying your TV license. And
why
just
though? Is that legal?
Yeah, because it's legal. As long as you don't watch as long as you don't watch live TV or BBC iPlayer, you do not need a license in this country, a TV license. And most people now are watching Netflix and stuff like that. So you just need to make sure you don't watch any live TV and you don't watch BBC iPlayer.
That's dangerous. Though. If you don't watch live TV, you can watch Unprecedented TV without a license because we're not on the airwaves, we're online. Actually, that's quite true. Maybe they should give us £10 of each TV license so that we can do a really good job for a fraction the price. You can have a cut if that's the case.
Great. I'll have 17p.
That'll do. That'll do. You've worked that one out already.
All those 17p's add up. Believe me, they add up.
Why 17p?
It just popped in my head.
It's just a starting point. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you 10.
I'll haggle 11.
All right, deal. I'm not gonna split hairs over that. But the thing is that the fact even the Labour government now is talking about essentially scrapping the TV license, or at least forcing them into revenue, causes all kinds of problems and ripples and storms in the commercial world as well, because they're going to have to compete with the BBC if this happens for revenue. But the BBC has to an extent brought it on itself, hasn't it?
It has, but let me share you my thoughts on this, especially under Labour. I believe Reform, if they get in, they'll do something different. That's a given. But Labour do not want to get rid of the BBC. The BBC is a great propaganda arm for the left wing. So they've got a vested interest in the BBC. They have already floated the idea when it got into power. Lisa Nandy already floated the idea that she may cancel and scrap the TV license fee. And everybody went, yeah. And then no one read underneath what she was talking about. And what she was saying is, we're going to scrap the TV license fee and we'll fund it through general taxation. We'll fund it, in which case there's no way you can not pay for it because we take the money out of your wages. And then
hang on, that's a bit of a trick. They're not scrapping it at all then. They're just scrapping the fee.
Yes.
They're not scrapping the funding, just the fee.
And the next step on this happened today, because Lisa Nandy today.
That is if you're watching it more or less live. Go on,
yeah. She has floated another idea.
Let's just say it happened in December. because we
Yes.
do have an archive.
Yeah, it happened in
December.
early mid-December.
Yeah, okay.
She's floated the idea that everybody on benefits should get the TV license for free. Now, straight away, people will go, that's millions of people. The BBC are complaining they've got no money, blah, 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 blah. But the trick will be this. We've now given all the people on benefits, we've given them free TV license. That's unfair. We'll give you all the TV license for free, and we're going to fund it through taxation.
Yeah, I see what you mean. All right, I see that trick there. You've been thinking ahead. We'll see what happens on that. You did mention, okay, so I want to ask you about one other subject. So you basically think that the BBC's in trouble. You did mention the TV license and the problems there. The big question is, for me at least, do you think Donald Trump is serious about pursuing this case? And let me just put one caveat to that. You said that the BBC is the big fish and it's taking on the small fry. But Donald Trump is loaded. He has got billions. He can spend 100 million on this case and it won't hurt him. So maybe the BBC can't simply spend their way out of trouble here.
Maybe they can't, but they're going to give it a bloody good go. And again, Trump doesn't need to get to court. Trump is just trying to show different organizations and different news outlets that you don't mess with me. Don't mess with me. And if it doesn't get to court or he loses or takes a settlement or whatever, the message has already been sent out there. The rest of the world know what's going on now. The rest of the world have heard of the BBC, and those other organizations and media outlets are all going, we don't want a piece of that, and we better change our view and the lies we do about Trump. So for Trump, Trump's already won. Trump's already won.
Just a quick other subject. Recently, Donald Trump came to Britain and they agreed a £31 billion tech deal, which was of generational importance, as a very bad impersonation of Keir Starmer might say. And lo and behold, it's gone for now. Or at least it's been suspended. Trump suspends $31 billion tech deal with Britain. White House halts talks on AI, nuclear and quantum computing as it seeks better terms and wider trade. Now, what Keir Starmer is saying, and he looks particularly ludicrous in that picture, I have to say. I shouldn't judge on looks. All right, Nick, that makes me superficial. I was speaking to a lady the other day, and she said, I said to her, you look great tonight. She said, yes, I'm very superficial. So it's not necessarily a criticism. But in that picture, you've got Donald Trump, who has signed something while he was here to hang around with the King of the United Kingdom, Charles III, and his wonderful wife, Camilla, a lovely woman, in my view. And now he's going, this is actually up for negotiation. That doesn't give me the impression, Nick Buckley MBE, that Keir Starmer's on very strong ground here.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm sure this deal was done with Keir Starmer saying to Donald Trump, I need something. Have you seen how I'm running the country? Have you seen me in the polls? I need something. And as a leader, we do each other favors because you're going to need me at some point. So can you do me a favor? And Trump's gone, yeah, I'll do you a favor, but I want these things. You know, you need to be a better ally. And there came to some sort of some non-formal arrangement, and they signed that deal. Trump now is looking at the UK going, no, I don't. He's either saying I don't need the UK at all because they're failing, or something else has happened. Is it the Chagos Islands? Is it the UK trying to get closer and closer to the EU? Is it UK's involvement in the Ukraine war and undermining Trump? Something has happened where Trump's gone, right, I'm going to have to shoot a cannonball, over your bow to let you know you don't mess with me. Trump isn't an internationalist. Trump is only about make America great again. and that's what he was voted on, and that's what he's always aiming to do.
But you can't blame him for it. He's
No,
simply
I
keeping
just
his
wish we had a
manifesto promise.
politician. I wish we had a politician who put the UK first. I'd like that.
There is a way we could reunify with America by letting Donald Trump run the UK. I'd have much more faith in him. I'd actually probably have much more faith in just about anyone than Keir Starmer. Can we get that picture up again of Keir? Yeah, okay, there we are. I just want to say this whole thing looks humiliating to me. Every time Keir Starmer meets Donald Trump, he looks stupid. And you could say, oh, it's a one-off bad shot and so on. When Keir Starmer, and I predicted this, therefore I say I told you so. When I saw that Keir Starmer was going to go to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt for a photo opportunity, I said, this is just going to make him look stupid. And that's what happened. Donald Trump said, but Keir Starmer, where's Keir Starmer? And Keir Starmer put his hand up like this. And he put his hand up like this. And then he came forward and they shook hands. And we won't get the video up in time, but shook hands. And then I saw, I'm a professional trainer of public speaking, and I saw he did a telltale sign of somebody who thinks they're going to speak. He looked down at the mic and then he looked up. But instead, Trump just turned around, and then Starmer makes this incredible face. Watch it for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. He goes, and then he walks to the back, and then he's standing there like this. Yeah. And it's pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic whenever you see it. There is no special relationship here. Yeah. It's just a completely unequal relationship. And I would suggest to you, I know this is a bit of a rant, but I suggest to you that the BBC taking a tumble at a time when Keir Starmer is in charge doesn't mean that Keir Starmer is responsible for the fake news. It happened before Keir Starmer was Prime Minister. But it's absolutely symptomatic of what you yourself said at the neck, that Starmer isn't respected by Trump, and Trump doesn't mind embarrassing Starmer or the BBC or Britain because he doesn't take us seriously.
He doesn't. I mean, it was only a week ago that Trump was saying the whole of Europe, the leaders are weak. They're all weak. You know, they're decaying, just weakness. He doesn't care. He's not looking to make friends. If Starmer had any sense, Starmer would basically ignore Trump, not turn up where Trump is, because he gets no kudos for that. Starmer should be hanging around the other leaders who get on with, because at least you get good press out of that. If he's always meeting Macron and whoever, at least you'll get good photo opportunities, and both of you will talk about the relationship, and you both admit he'll get PR out of that. Every time he's with Trump, you know, the big boy, he always walks away like he's a poodle, and it's not a great look.
But this doesn't look good either. Macron, who spends his time with his wife trying to prove that his wife's a woman. Zelensky, who keeps having to fire people or distance himself from his former business partner and his number two for corruption. And Starmer, who created the Coalition of the Willing, which has done absolutely nothing. I mean, this is the point. His Coalition of the Willing has been the Coalition of the Impotent. So you might be right about who Starmer seeks to hang around with, but there's no demonstrable evidence of any results.
There isn't, but most of the people in this country are not looking for results. They're looking for PR, propaganda, and a soundbite. That's what convinces them. And that's always been the case. So the Coalition of the Willing is a joke. Me and you know that, and many of you, the audience, will know that. That's because we're interested in politics. But the average Joe on the street will see Starmer sat with a war leader, and you know Zelensky is a war leader, and they're looking at Macron, the president of France, and they're going, right, yeah, Starmer's respected in Europe. He's respected in Europe, and that's what Starmer wants out of that. Just good PR.
Well, I'm sure Columnids and Holly will recognize this misquote, but I feel the hand of timing on my shoulder Nick. This isn't the time for sound bites, but we're going to have to finish there. Where can we get your podcast? And I am absolutely determined to convince you to let us have a regular slot of your podcasts on our station, Unprecedented. But until then, where can they find you?
Find me on YouTube, Nick Buckley MBE, daily videos, and you'll enjoy them.
Do you get a lot of viewers?
Anything, I mean, on average, anywhere between 3 and 15,000. But then some do better, 30, 40, 100,000. And I've had a few, getting close to 750,000. Okay,
you're hired. Thank you. That is Nick Buckley MBE. Great value. I'll just add one thing. I would love the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States to work, because that has been traditionally a very important axis of power, and often for the good. Not always, but often for the good across the world. That is not, in my view, currently existent. And one of the symptoms of that is the collateral damage, also known as the case against the BBC by the President of the United States. If the relationship between Downing Street and the White House was strong, this would be settled behind closed doors. But I think that relationship has broken down, and with good reason, because we have a Premier League player, whether you like him or not, a man who's always in the news on the world stage, Donald Trump, and a third division player who just can't cut it in that same international forum. And I say that in sorrow rather than in anger. You have your say. Columnids, Holly, always good to see your views as well. And I shall continue that dialogue in the course of the day. Enjoy everything else here, and please subscribe to Unprecedented TV on YouTube. We're going to great places. We want to make that journey with you.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages.